Hello and welcome back to the Ultra HD Gamer, and I have another video on this 53 penny graphics card. Well, I got two for $1.06, so each one is 53 cents, and that's including taxes and shipping. This card is a Quadro FX380. It has 256 megabytes of GDDR3 memory, and it is based off the NVIDIA Tesla architecture, and it has DirectX 11 support, albeit limited, so you really only have DirectX 10.1 support in games, and yeah, that's kind of shoddy. It has two DVI ports, so I guess that's nice, and it does not have any external power connector. It only uses PCIe power. The card itself is equal to that of a 9500 DT. I think I'll need to put a comment down below or put something in the description that says what it actually is equivalent to. I think that is what it's equivalent to because I think I saw that on an article a few months ago when I got the card. And I'm finally doing a video on it. As you can see, it's made by PNY, and yeah, it's pretty cool. On to the benchmarks now. These are the specs of the Quadro FX380. It has a G96 graphics processor with 16 CUDA cores and 8 TMUs and 8 ROPs and 256 megs of GDDR3 and a 128-bit bus width. Oh yeah, and this is the recommended gaming resolutions. 640 by 480. As you can see, the card supports DirectX 11.1. Its feature level is 10. So that's why it can only run DirectX 10 games. And it is relatively similar to that of a 9500, of a GeForce 9500, although, I mean, it is a little worse. As you can see, the GPU clock speed is 456 megahertz, while the shader clock speed is 1100 megahertz, and the memory clock is 700 megahertz. So yeah, these are all the specs, and also looking at it, it is better than a 9400 GT and a GT210, but it is worse than a Radeon HD 4550 and an HD 5450. That can tell you how bad the card is. I wouldn't recommend gaming on it in 2020. It is a single slot card, as you can see, and it has a TDP of 34 watts, so it's definitely not going to have a problem running in most computers with a PCIe slot. I've put the Quadro FX380 in a computer with an i5-750 and 12 gigabytes of DDR3 memory and a 120 gigabyte SSD. It has the Dell Inspiron 580 meme. I'm also using a 1280 by 1024p monitor with it from Dell. And this graphics card has DirectX 11 support, but it can only really run DirectX 10.1 games, so it won't be opening games like Watch Dogs, Watch Dogs 2, Rocket League, anything newer than like 2013 that doesn't allow a graphics card with anything under DirectX 11 to open it. And it also is limited by its 256 megabytes of GDDR3 memory. Slow memory and not very much memory at all. So that is a real kicker. And the graphics card specs itself aren't that amazing. So it won't be running Cyberpunk 2077. The first benchmark I'm running on the Quadro FX380 is Cinebench R15, the graphics benchmark. I'm putting it in a computer that has an i5-750 and 12 gigabytes of DDR3 memory. It's a Dell Inspiron 580, it's kind of crappy, but whatever. As you can see, it is incredibly terrible. As you can see, we got a score of 4.16 FPS, and that makes it worse than Intel HD 4000 graphics. Much worse, actually. That makes a lot of sense, though. But at least it can run the benchmark. This card is not a gaming card, and it can really only act as a display adapter. On to the next benchmark. So I'm running a game called Mud Runner from the Epic Games Store. I got it for free, and it is running on the Quadro FX 380. I'm getting around 13 to 14 FPS in fraps on this game. I have it basically on every single low setting, and I'm running it at like 1024 by 768. So it's not doing too well. I mean, it's not going under 10 FPS. Oh, it just did. That's nice. Okay, so when you go into the forest, it definitely loses a lot of frames. I would not call this playable at all. So Fraps is getting around 10 to 11. Well, now more like 13 FPS when I'm at a complete stop. That's nice. So the Quadro FX 380 can run Mud Runner, just not so good. On to GTA 5 now, and I am getting around 10 to 20 FPS. And that is relatively decent for Quadro FX 380, although the input lag is so bad I can't really get through the tutorial. It is just so painful, because it takes about 5 or 10 seconds just to get into the car and stop moving, and it's just impossible to drive quickly in this game due to that input lag. So I guess GTA 5 is semi-playable. It runs at above 10 FPS most of the time if you're not in densely populated areas. It can go up to 20 FPS if you're like out in the wilderness in GTA 5. But if you want to enjoy the game and not have a headache, I don't recommend running it on a Quadro FX 380. The last game I'm going to be testing is City Skylines. And on this Quadro FX 380, it has around 10 to 12 FPS, and it's basically not playable. It has a ton of input lag, and combined with the fact that I do not know how to play with the game, I guess it's not playable at all, and it just makes my eyes hurt. Oh, and it's going down to 9 FPS. So the Quadro FX 380 can run the game, but I do not recommend actually playing it. The Quadro FX 380 cannot open Watch Dogs or Rocket League, and any other games that are higher than DirectX 10.1. That is rather unfortunate, but it is what it is. The Quadro FX 380 can definitely run YouTube, well, at least in the browser, and it can play YouTube videos at least up to 720p. I don't think it can play YouTube videos at 1080. Or it can, but it's going to be a stuttery mess. And this computer has an i5-750, so that is not the problem. It is the graphics card itself. The i5-750, although the processor can hold or handle a whole lot more than the Quadro FX 380 can ever hold. So, yeah, this Quadro FX 380 can't play 1080p video. That is not an option. But at least you can run 720p video just fine. Other basic Windows applications run on this graphics card just fine, like Paint. As you can see, it's very smooth, and you could make a nice drawing with Paint. Look at this masterpiece. It's just great. The greatest masterpiece of all time is being made with the Quadro FX 380.